for round number 13. I'm joined again by Mike Fouché. We're going to be bringing you this one between Kenny Britton and Connor Peavey. It's going to be Gardevoir taking on Volcanion. So two very familiar decks we've seen on stream many times over by now. Mike, what does this matchup look like? Because I have heard that it is supposed to be Gardevoir favored, but we have seen on stream Volcanion take this one, I believe, twice.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I would say typically Gardevoir is a pretty strong favorite in this matchup. Looking at Connor's deck list, it is pretty different from some of the other Volcanions we've seen. So players like Igor Costa and Ryan Sablehouse are playing a very straightforward version of Volcanion, and they also run 4 Fighting Fury Belt and 2 Enhance Hammers, which are pretty anti-Gardevoir cards. Makes the matchup a lot closer. Connor's list, a little bit more standard. 3 Volcanion EX, 3 Volcanion, only 2 Fighting Fury Belt, no Enhance Hammers. So it can be close for sure, but I would say Kenny Britton is definitely favored. Another thing to note, Kenny is a very known player. He placed in the top 16 in North America the last year and maybe even the last 2 years. So Kenny, very consistent, very great player out of California. Connor, he's obviously a great player. He's here, but I don't know much about him.
That is very impressive for Kenny. And actually, just look at these records here. Kenny is 8-1-3. Connor is 9-3. These are phenomenal records over 2 days of long, intense play. I'm sure these guys are very tired. And though this is a different Volcanion list than what we've been seeing, that actually indicates to me the other Volcanion list that we've been seeing was a playtesting group where they all brought the exact same 60-card list.
Right.
This is slightly different. But Connor had that same meta read that practice group did, even though he presumably was not a part of it because his list is quite different. So I'm sure he's a very intelligent guy, very intelligent player, and we're going to have to see if he can make some magic happen. He does run 2 copies of Kiawe as well as the Ho-Oh. So this is, going to be a little bit different than what we've been seeing. Kind of a hybrid list more so. Yeah,
the other lists don't actually run Kiawe or Ho-Oh, but Connor... Ho-Oh is probably the ideal starter if you're running Kiawe. As long as he can get the turn 1 Kiawe, Ho-Oh is awesome. He can probably take 2, 3, maybe even 4 prizes with this first Ho-Oh. But we do see Kenny kind of getting his ideal start. Turn 1 Tapu Lele into Bridget, finding another Ralts, a Remoraid, and a Vulpix. We'll probably see Ralts retreat into Vulpix either this turn or next turn. Looking at Kenny's list real quick, he has a lot of interesting support cards. He's not running the Sylveon, as we've seen a lot of players run, but he is running Octillery and an Oranguru and an Alolan Vulpix. So all single copies, but better at different times of the different openings, depending on what you prize. So he's really giving himself a lot of options by including all these cards. He's
covering all of his bases by playing various situational cards that can benefit him in certain matchups or depending on how he draws in different times. So that's really interesting. I like the spread, maybe to improve consistency. He's also running 2 copies of Parallel City. I think the other Guardy lists we've seen have been only running 1.
Yep.
And then he has 2 Acerola. So maybe a little bit higher count than we are used to, but I'm a big fan of Acerola. I don't think we've been seeing as much of it as I expected because it is so incredibly strong. Maybe it's just not as worth it as I thought it was.
Yeah, it is a pretty powerful card. I don't know how useful it'll be in this matchup. Connor's going to really be looking to try and use his Steam Ups in conjunction with Choice Band to hit knockouts. But yeah, Acerola is really great in other matchups such as Galissapod and Gardevoir. So Connor, this is kind of interesting. So Connor played Brooklet Hill, so I wonder if Kenny's kind of kicking himself for getting Remoraid and Vulpix instead of a third Ralts, because he could have just gotten a free search with Brooklet Hill. We do see Connor going for Lele, but not getting Kiawe because he did not have another supporter, so he's forced to Professor Sycamore. Not the ideal start for Connor, but oh well.
After seeing a Ho-Oh in the active from Kenny, I wouldn't blame him if he would expect this to be a straight Ho-Oh Kiawe list with 1 copy of Volcanion and not expect to see multiple Brooklet Hills in the list. So I think that is probably why he grabbed the Remoraid and the Vulpix, because he just didn't know what he was playing against.
Yeah, for sure. So we do see Baby Volcanion coming down. That's a very, very good card against Gardevoir. It represents a one-prize attacker that can help threaten the two-hit KO. When you use Steam Ups, that Volcanion can be hitting for 50, 80 damage, and then while powering up other attackers, such as Volcanion EX. So we see Kenny. Now he retreats for the Vulpix, just evolving to Kirlia. I don't know if he has any other cards to play, but I would imagine Beacon will be finding Octillery and either Gardevoir or another Kirlia, perhaps even a third Ralts.
Depending on, he's got an Ultra Ball in his hand.
Looks like we'll see Octillery Gardevoir.
Yep.
Now, this could be a little bit of a risky play if he doesn't have Rare Candy in hand, because if Connor has a way to bring that Kirlia out via Guzma and has a way to knock it out, then that Gardevoir is just now a dead card in Kenny's hand. But if he doesn't have Guzma, then obviously a great play. Does look like he has Guzma, but I don't know if he has enough energy to steam up and knock out the Kirlia. Oh, he does. He plays Energy Retrieval. Oh, we don't see that in a whole lot of Volcanion lists anymore. And he does have it in hand, so I actually think he can get the knockout.
Yeah, he's playing 2 copy of Energy Retrieval and 1 Super Rod, so he wants that energy directly back in his hand to be able to make use of with Steam Up again, instead of just taking it from discard and attaching it right to his Volcanion on the bench.
Yeah, so we see that exact play. 1 Steam Up, Energy Retrieval, take 2 fires back, 2nd Steam Up, and that will do exactly 80 damage, which is perfect math on this Kirlia. And Volcanion will take the knockout and start powering up this Volcanion EX. Now, Kenny's kind of in a tough spot with only 1 Ralts on the field, a dead Gardevoir in hand, so Octillery's going to be drawing less cards as well. We'll see what he wants to do. I would imagine Vulpix is coming up.
That is a big tempo swing in favor of Connor. He was already ahead on energy attachment, as Volcanion will be. It will get ahead on prizes in the early game because it ramps energy so quickly, and then usually N is quite poor against it in the late game. But yeah, Kenny finds that candy, gets the Guardy down. He's got some work to do, but he can do it now.
Yeah, he still absolutely needs to set up a second Gardevoir. 1 Gardevoir can take a couple prizes against Volcanion, but eventually it's going to get knocked out. So Kenny really wants to find some more Ralts. I guess it could be possible that he's prized 2 Ralts as well, and maybe he didn't get it. Okay, so we see Parallel City limiting Connor. That's interesting. I wonder if limiting himself and reducing fire damage. Both sides are very good against fire decks. Yeah. Limiting their bench is very good, but also making them do 20 less damage in a matchup where you have so much HP is also extremely relevant. But I guess he needs to get the extra Ralts down. So
yep, and Ultra Ball away the Kirlia and the Guzma to find it. Sycamore then for 7. Picks up the DCE, additional draw supporters, a rescue stretcher to get back that Kirlia if he needs it. That could be very important.
Yep. I would like to see that play. I'd like to see a rescue stretcher for a Ralts back. But he could also shuffle. I know he has 2 Kirlia now in there and Ralts, so he might stretcher 3 back. That would also be fine. How many Kirlia does he play? He does play 3 Kirlia, so he does have access to 1 more Kirlia in his deck as long as he didn't prize it. We will see what he decides to do.
You could go Kirlia double Kirlia Ralts back into the deck.
Yep.
You think he's going to Beacon again this turn and just pull them back out?
Yeah, absolutely. He has 3 Sycamore in his hand, plus the Gallade. So and he's already used 1 Sycamore.
Yeah,
so
there's all 4.
Yeah, that's all 4, which is not the worst, but as the game goes on, if Connor starts to end him later in the game, that could become very relevant, especially if he knocks out the Octillery. So we do see Beacon. I imagine a Kirlia and a Ralts will be his 2 picks. And he's hoping that Connor doesn't have another Guzma to knock out that other Ralts. Fighting Fury Belt is one of the major cards in Connor's deck that could impact the matchup. Kenny does have 2 Field Blowers. Fighting Fury Belt's really good because it makes Gardevoir have an extra 2 energy. The 40 HP, 40 extra HP, very, very big. If it was only 30, I don't think it wouldn't be nearly as relevant.
Yes.
But 40 HP is a big difference.
It's the difference between just needing a choice band and needing a double colorless.
Right.
And you only can play 4 double colorless energy, so naturally it's going to be harder to come by, and you're going to need it more often. But this list from Connor does only run 2 copies of Fighting Fury, whereas the other Volcanion lists we were seeing do run 4. So there's the big differences, right? This has Kiawe, Ho-Oh, 2 Fighting Fury Belt. The others have 4 Fighting Fury Belt, 2 Enhanced Hammers. They're really trying to hit that Guardy matchup harder than Connor is.
Yeah. So this is an interesting play, and I actually really like it from Connor. He opts not to use Power Heater and try and knock out this Vulpix, but instead he uses Kiawe and powers up Ho-Oh. So now on Connor's bench, he has 3 threats, and Kenny can't deal with all of them at once. If Gardevoir knocks out one of these threats, then Connor has 2 more. So this could be tough for Kenny. Looks like Kenny's just going to Beacon again. He's going to hold those Sycamores, and just kind of try and set up his bench and say, Connor, do you have Guzma?
Yeah. Can Connor get to that Gardevoir before it can attack? Can he take out the second Curlia? He would also like to shut down the Octillery's Abyssal Hand as well. There's a lot of priority targets here that Connor wants to deal with. Yeah,
so basically both players are kind of just setting up their bench and waiting for the other person to make the first move. This is sometimes how this matchup goes. You just kind of sit behind your setup guys and
just play chicken.
Yeah, and force the opponent to have a Guzma. Oh, and we actually just see a Power Heater for 20. I think Connor is under a little bit more pressure to kind of be the aggressor in this matchup, and he doesn't really have a strong hand if he's just doing Power Heater. So if I'm Kenny, I'm pretty okay with this.
That is a very weak hand. Doesn't look like he has any supporters. I think he has the Ultra Ball maybe to find the Lele and net a supporter, but no energy.
Right.
And that makes sense. There is about half of the energy in the deck represented on the board right now.
Yep.
And this deck's going to want quite a bit to be able to make the most out of Steam Up every turn. And Power Heater didn't net any because there are none in the discard. So still about 7 left in the deck, but none in hand.
Yeah. So we do see Kenny play the Sycamore now. I think he was looking for like Fairy DCE. Does he play Floatstones? He does not play Floatstones. But if he got Fairy DCE, he actually would have knocked out the Baby Volcanion with Gallade. But instead, we just see another Beacon, maybe Lele Gardevoir, potentially. Oh, we see the Oranguru. Okay. Maybe he has 2 Gardevoir prized.
He might be running out of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be very unfortunate. But if he takes that first knockout with the Gardevoir, it is a decent chance that he then picks up a second one off of the prizes.
Yeah. So we just see Connor just top deck a Professor Sycamore, which is really great for him. It kind of lets him do something, right?
He needed that draw supporter desperately. His hand had the ability to get the Lele and then find the draw, but
he couldn't. So this is where the Parallel City is really impactful.
Yep, because he's only got 3 bench available. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So that's the power of Parallel City. When Tapu Lele, so without VS Seeker in the format, we only have access to 4 Professor Sycamore and 3 to 4 N in a deck. And Tapu Lele acts as the replacement, essentially, to VS Seeker. And so Ultra Balls are also outs to Tapu Lele's, but if you are Parallel City'd, then it's so much harder to play down Parallel and find the bench space for that. So top decking that Sycamore was key to Connor staying in the game. I imagine we'll see Power Heater knockout going down to 4 prizes. Then Connor only needs to take 2 EX knockouts. That's killing this Gardevoir. That'll probably come up. Actually, we'll probably see Gallade come up. But if he can kill a Gardevoir GX and then a Tapu Lele later in the game, that's it.
He's still going to have multiple Guzmas, multiple ways to bring up that Tapu Lele after he gets this Gardevoir out of there. And Kenny, meanwhile, needs to set up a second Gardevoir. After the first one is knocked out, he will need something that has that attack power. He's got the Gallade, which is a huge, huge threat, but still not nearly as powerful as having a backup Gardevoir.
So we do see just another Power Heater for 20. I thought I saw a Fire Energy in Connor's hand for Steam Up, but maybe I missaw it. Or maybe he does have it and he just opted to just do the 20, holding the Fire Energy for potential Steam Up knockouts on the Gardevoir later on.
I mean, if he's seeing Kenny Beacon for Oranguru when he's already got, Octillery on bench and a full bench. He likely can get the read that there's something important prized, right? Something that he can't pull out of deck with Beacon. So that Vulpix is not a threat anymore with Beacon. It's not a threat in the active. It's just buying Connor some more time.
So the game is on. Kenny is the first one to use Guzma. There is already enough energy there for Infinite Force to take a one-hit knockout. Between the two, there's 7, which is 210 damage. So if Kenny did prize 2 Gardevoirs, he really wants to take these prizes, and
he's setting up that Kirlia for that second Gardevoir.
And hoping to draw it off these prizes. So, and we see a Secret Spring and an attachment, probably to Kirlia. And now, so let's see. So Connor is doing, with Volcanion, he needs double Steam Up, puts him at 190. Choice Band puts him at 220. So he'd actually need his third
Triple
Volcanion and triple Steam Up. That's a lot to ask for.
It's very difficult for Volcanion to reach the damage potential the damage threshold that it needs to actually kill Gardevoir, which is why this matchup is so good for Gardevoir if the Volcanion isn't running enhanced hammers to knock off the DCEs, the 4 copies of Fighting Fury Belt to ensure that the Volcanion gets 2 attacks onto the Guardy.
Right. Octillery is also like a super, super important card in this matchup, I found. I think it's a lot better than Oranguru. I played against, in testing, I played against a bunch of fire decks against Xander Perot, who's a good friend. And the games where I was testing Oranguru instead of Octillery, I went like 2 and 3, and then I put Octillery back in over to Oranguru and went 3 and 0. So
there you go.
It's a very, very impactful card in this matchup. So the fact that Kenny has that out will allow him, even if he gets N later in the game, to kind of find what he needs to seal the game. So
I have actually been just walking around talking to different people, and it does seem like there are people who have very strong opinions on how good Oranguru is right now in the format. There are some people who really don't like it.
Yeah. Getting End and then only being able to draw up to 3, sometimes it's great, but often it's just not enough. Okay, so we see double Steam Up and Choice Band. So if he can find the third Volcanion, it looks like he has a Sycamore in hand potentially.
Yeah, he needs Volcanion and a Fire Energy.
So we see
there's Volcanion.
Oh, man.
Misses.
So there is a lot of fire in the discard. 4 went down with the Ho-Oh.
Yeah.
2 just went down with the Steam Ups, and there's 6 on board. So what's that? That's 12. He only plays 14. The second energy retrieval was also in that Sycamore.
And he did just discard 1 from hand with that Sycamore.
Right. So, yeah, it's not super surprising that he whiffed the energy, but he is going to be 10 short, 20 short of the knockout. Yeah, 10 short. Those are some pretty sweet dice. They just have the number.
Yeah, I think who else do we see with them? Jimmy Pendarvis? Maybe?
Yeah, I think it's the
nice.
TC Evolutions, and it just has all the numbers. I know there's like one with the odd big numbers, one with the even big numbers. It's pretty cool. This is that I think that was the turn that I think sealed Connor's fate, not being able to get that knockout. This Gardevoir is going to take another 2 prizes. Oh, and we see Acerola.
Kirlia promoted. The Gardevoir can come back down. There you go. That's the power of Acerola that we have yet to see, really.
Yeah. So even if Kenny did prize his other 2 Gardevoirs, now it doesn't matter.
He's got a fresh one.
So Connor still, I think, has a Super Rod, so I guess technically it's possible that he could get this knockout this turn.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
If you Secret Spring with your Guardy, Acerola, bring it back up, play it back down, move it up, can you Secret Spring again?
Absolutely.
So strange.
So good. Yeah, it's there's a lot of interesting interactions with abilities like that.
There's very interesting mechanics, like with Volcanion, for instance. Can't attack next turn. Float Stone, Guzma back out, it can attack.
Yep. So the reason for that one is when the Gardevoir, even though it says once during your turn, when the Gardevoir goes to your hand, your hand is considered private knowledge, so it's very possible that it could be a new Gardevoir.
There's no way to know.
Right.
You're absolutely right. And then Gardevoir will take the knockout onto the Volcanion. Kenny down to just 2 prizes left. Connor still sitting on 5, only having killed that Kirlia early on.
Yeah. So we see this Fighting Fury Belt come down. It'll make it harder to knock out, but that Gardevoir has so many energy on it that I just don't think it'll matter. We might see... Oh, no. Parallel City. Can't use it.
He cannot.
Can we...
Ruling. Yeah, it...
Maybe...
Oh, dear.
Can we...
3 bench.
Get the games... looks like...
Yeah, he can't play Lele.
So we're going to see...
Oh, dear. There's that. Yeah, the judge did not catch that. That is... What happens when that happens?
I think that could possibly be...
Could that be a game loss?
A game loss, yeah.
I mean, I think Connor's going to lose this game anyway.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's... Huh.
We'll see. They're going to take a minute, make sure that we are correct.
That Parallel City reduces your bench to 3, so you cannot play the Lele. You cannot Wonder Tag. And, I
think Connor's just going to scoop that game anyway.
That'll be the game loss to Connor. It didn't really matter there, but it's something that you do need to keep track of.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think it would have mattered. That game he had too many prizes left.
Yeah, the Guardy he
no
would
way
have needed 3 steam ups.
Sorry. Okay,
yeah,
great.
He ended up scooping that one. You would need 3 steam ups plus the choice band to even be able to knock out that Gardevoir. No way to knock the energy off. That one was going to be Kenny's. No matter what. Game number 2, Kenny going to go up 1-0. How can Connor get the edge over Kenny? Does he need to just go so fast and hope that Kenny can't set up?
Yeah, I think that sounds pretty accurate. Connor's going to go first now, so ideally he gets a turn 1 Kiawe either onto a Turtonator or a Ho-Oh. Turn 1 Kiawe onto Volcanion EX is okay, but strictly worse than the other two. He really just wants to try and aggressively beat Kenny, KO Ralts if possible. He does have 4 Guzma, so it's always possible that he can just Guzma multiple turns in a row. The real tough part is then kind of just taking the last couple prizes. He doesn't run Oranguru. He doesn't run Octillery, so N can really hurt him as the game goes on.
So he's definitely going to want to start that Ho-Oh Kiawe if he can again, only running 2 copies of Kiawe since this is not the pure Ho-Oh Salazzle strategy.
Right.
So it is less likely that he gets it on turn 1, but with Tapu Lele, you still have a decent shot of it. I believe he had it in the last game and then was able to Kiawe later on as well just for that fill.
Yep, he has 3 Lele, 2 Kiawe, 4 Ultra Ball, so it's still pretty likely. So both these players sitting at 27 points, they really need this win, right?
Yeah.
So we have 30 minutes left. Even if Connor takes it, he really wants to win this game quickly if possible, so that they have enough time for Game 3 to finish. A tie technically keeps them both in, but then the last round is 100% winning in.
Yeah, I would definitely see Connor, if he gets a nice start, playing this one as quickly as he possibly can. Well, still, of course, taking full consideration. You don't want to play so fast that you end up overlooking things or misplaying, but you do need to accelerate that pace of play to ensure that you get that 3rd game in.
Yeah. Last round we saw one of my best friends in the game, Sam Chen. He was playing lightning fast and made some pretty funny mistakes using Energy Drive for only 120 when he needed to do 130 to Greninja. But it ended up working out for him. He got the tie, and but that was pretty funny. I made fun of him after the match.
I'm sure Sam was not too happy about that, but he did end up getting the draw. And yeah, the score there was incorrect. Connor did lose that first game. Kenny picked up that win. So it has been corrected now.
All right, so we saw a mulligan from Kenny. Connor will always welcome that extra card. And let's see, we've got Ralts. Tapu Lele, not the greatest. He could actually turn 1 Kiawe if he has it, if he wants.
And just go full onto that Lele. I mean, that is what Sam did in game number 3, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. He
just went full Lele.
Yep. And I think it's fine. People often forget that Tapu Lele is a really phenomenal attacker by itself. It's part of the reason that it's the best card in the game by a lot. It provides consistency. It has no weakness, lots of HP, and
one
energy
retreat.
Drive. Yeah. It's really incredible. So we just see an attachment and Elixir. I think Connor said every Elixir that he's played so far. But that makes team ups less likely as the game goes on.
It does. It is very likely that you hit those energies in the early game. There's 14 in the deck. You get to draw 6 to find them. He is going to...
N.
Yeah, that's just an alternate art. So many different ends to keep track of. Ray just keeps commenting on how even though he hasn't played competitively in a few years, it's just still a lot of the same cards because they keep reprinting so much. Sycamore is Juniper and has, there's 5 different artworks. It's
at least 5.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think one of my complaints about the game in the last 5 years or so has actually been that constant reprints, but it seems like they're moving away from that a little bit. We haven't seen a Sycamore Juniper reprint, so I'm hoping within a year that goes away. So you see Connor N didn't get the Kiawe, which is okay. He is threatening. Oh, we see another Elixir. Let's see if he can hit another one. 4, 5, last card.
6.
Nope.
He whiffs. Okay.
So that's pretty important, right? Because now next turn, in order to threaten this Volcanion EX, Connor needs to hit one of his either his 3rd or 4th Elixir. We'll see. Let's see what Kenny has. It doesn't look like a lot going on there. And we could just see kind of stage 2 stuff happen.
Yeah, he would absolutely want to set up like he did in the last game, find that Bridget early on, set up what he did, Routes, Remoraid, and Vulpix in the last one, and ended up using Beacon 3 or 4 times over the course of that game to grab everything that he would possibly need.
So it doesn't look Kenny's going to outright lose because Connor's Brooklet Hill lets him find a water Pokemon. So Vulpix seems like the obvious choice. If he has an energy to retreat the Ralts, not that bad of a start. Not ideal, but at least he's living.
It's okay. He's searching Pokemon out of his deck. Not nearly as good as the Bridget would be, but you're getting by, right? And Brooklet Hill benefits Volcanion so strongly, but there are these certain matchups, especially with Remoraid Octillery running around everywhere, where your opponent can benefit from Brooklet Hill as well.
Mm-hmm. So we see that. Does he have the energy? He has
got
Tapu Lele. Oh, okay.
He's fine. All right, so he could still bridge it this turn if he wants to.
Could bridge it. I think we'll see an N based on his hand. Looked like he had a lot of evolutions. Oh, but we do see the bridge it. Okay.
I mean, Connor did expend a decent amount on that turn 1. I'm not positive what his hand size is right now, but maybe wait on that a little bit.
Yep. One thing to note that Kenny did on turn 1 is he took a good amount of time going through his deck on the first search, really trying to figure out what his prizes are. Even if you don't get all 6, you look for the most important stuff, right?
Kenny has some freedom here, right?
Yeah.
He's got 23 minutes. He knows if he wins this game, he'll just take the series, and he should be pretty favored to take this game, especially now that he has found all 4 routes and has that Alolan Vulpix set up on the bench. So he has all the time in the world to be able to search through his deck, figure out exactly what's prized, think ahead several turns to what Connor could possibly do that could give Kenny trouble, whereas Connor needs to win this game and then also have time to play and win a game 3. Right. Otherwise, his final round match will be, like you said, a win and in.
So I think it's interesting. Well, Kenny's Bridget did not find a Remoraid, so that tells me either Remoraid or Octillery is prized. He also opted to get all 4 Ralts, which means he's probably anticipating a knockout this turn.
You need to have one in the act. You would probably move the Vulpix up to the active and get that Beacon online. So you still want to have several because the more Guardy, the better.
Yep.
I think he only had 2 set up in the last game, but it does seem like from the games that I've seen on stream, most of the time you have 1 Gardevoir active and they're just struggling to find whether it be the candy to get the second one up or, like we saw in the last game, Kenny actually had a couple of his Gardevoir prized. Yeah.
So one of the benefits of Kenny not running the Sylveon is that he has a couple spots to fill in with extra consistency cards. We talked about Octillery, we talked about Oranguru, but Kenny's actually playing 3 Curlia and 4 Rare Candy, which really maximizes his chances of setting up these multiple Gardevoir throughout the game.
That's actually a really good point. It seems like every Gardevoir that we've seen has been running that Sylveon, making good use of the Plea GX when it rolls around. Also, the Magical Ribbon is a really nice search. How does that affect his deck overall? Are there matchups that it makes worse not running the Sylveon, or is the overall added consistency to getting Gardevoir out just keep your matchups relatively the same? Yeah,
I would say those are 2 different lines of thought when building the deck. Some people just want to say, if Gardevoir sets up, it wins. And there's a lot of merit to that strategy. And so that's kind of what Kenny's gone with. The Sylveon allows you to really have an advantage over other Stage 2 decks. So it helps in the mirror by being able to use Plea GX. Most notably, though, it helps beat Metagross.
Gives you a leg to stand on in a really bad matchup. Yeah.
So I think Kenny's list is probably really bad versus Metagross. But so, for example, I played 2-2 Sylveon yesterday, and I played Metagross 3 times, winning 2 and tying once.
That's impressive.
So
that's very impressive.
Sylveon was instrumental to that, and I don't think Kenny's list has an out to that, but it's probably better in most other matchups. So interestingly, Connor did not take a knockout on this Ralts. I don't know. I guess he didn't have double fire energy to double steam up, but he's still starting to put pressure. Baby Volcanion is the ideal Pokemon to have up in the active against Gardevoir. It forces them to do things. And we see Candy Glade, but just a pass from Kenny.
Not even an attachment with an energy. That's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah.
But he does have the liberty to take this a little slowly. He has pretty much all of the Pokemon resources that he needs right now. He just needs to find the evolution. So the rare candy, the Gardevoir. But he runs 4 candies, 3 Curlias. So like you said, he adds that consistency, but sacrifices the added percentage points against a deck like Metagross.
He did Candy Glade, not Candy Gardevoir, so he's able to Premonition, ran with the top 5 cards of his deck. I didn't get to see what he put on top, but ideally there's a supporter there now.
Yes.
So we'll see what he draws next. But often Glade's a really good card for a number of reasons, but this is one of the situations where you love to see Glade because it changes a mediocre to bad hand into something that's playable.
And it's a big attacker.
Yeah.
Even though they're only running 1 copy of it in these builds, I've seen Glade be very, very impactful. Choice band that, it does, 180 with a supporter plate on that turn?
160.
160.
Yeah, it's 130 if you
Plus
played a supporter.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yep. In this matchup, Glade is most useful for combating the Baby Volcanion, actually. It does the perfect math with the 130 to one-shot it, and it forces the Volcanion into playing the 7 prize game, making them take a non-EX KO and then trying to make them
Yeah, it makes
KO.
it a little bit awkward.
Yeah. So both players are trying to do that. Connor with his Baby Volcanion, Kenny with his Glade. We do see Vulpix come active.
Picked up the Curly off the top, so that would be what he rearranged with that Premonition from the Glade. Makes sense to me. You need to set up because Connor, again, will always be ahead when it comes to energy on the bench.
Yep.
But if Kenny can get 1 big Guardy with a second on the bench, it's very difficult for Connor to actually get those knockouts. You need 3 steam ups and a choice band. That's so much to ask for.
Yeah. We do see this game Connor going for Turtonator GX. We didn't see that last game. Turtonator has a little bit easier time one-shotting Guardy. With the belt, it does 170 with its attack.
Yeah.
And then, so that's only 2 steam ups. So that's a little bit less that he needs.
More reasonable, yeah.
Yeah. So we see Lele for N. N's always great against Volcanion. If you could N every single turn against Volcanion, you would probably do that most times. And Kenny's going to just be okay with beaconing. I mean, obviously he would love to get like Candy Guardy off this N.
Yeah, but the beacon strategy certainly worked for him last game.
We see another Curlia. That's also a great pickup. Some
Fair
energy.
Yep. Not bad at all. But he's got to find those Gardevoir.
Yep. So Beacon will probably search out double Gardevoir. Connor's looking probably for Guzma now to try and knock off one of these Curlias before it evolves to a Gardevoir, and then it becomes extremely difficult to knock out. Kenny's thinking about something.
Oh, he does it. He's got a Gardevoir in his hand.
Okay,
Picked it up off of the end.
Yep, he'll Beacon. Maybe finding Gardevoir and Oranguru.
Do you not want to set that Oranguru onto the Curlia that you had played last turn because you fear Guzma and the potential double steam up from the Turtonator?
Sorry, not playing what?
Not playing the Gardevoir onto the Curlia with the energy.
He had just evolved. He had just evolved to Curlia this turn. Both
He
Curlias.
evolved both this turn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, he evolved 1 pre and then he ended. You're absolutely right. Yep.
So that's why he's not
Okay,
doing
so
that.
he physically cannot.
Yeah, but I think if he has access to Guzma, I think that's really, really great, knocking off a Curlia. Yep.
There you go.
Imagine Volcanion will come up. Yep. makes sense to me. Because he wants to save the Turtonator for an easier KO on a future Gardevoir. So now Connor goes to 4 prizes. So I imagine we'll see Vulpix come up again, but we could see Gardevoir come up. And
looks like he's considering the Gallade, 2 Gardevoir in hand, but now only access to 1 Kirlia. He's had 2 get knocked out, and he does play 1 copy of Rescue Stretcher, so he has a way to get those basics and stage 1s back, but cannot set up 2 Guardy now.
Yeah. So we do see Gallade. Gardevoir's coming down. I think he just top decked the DC, which is really great. So now
That's fantastic.
Yeah, he can attack with Gallade, put some pressure. Volcanion notably cannot attack next turn because he used Volcanic Heat unless he goes to the bench. So kind of might put Connor in a little bit of an awkward spot. But if Connor has Guzma and enough fire energies to steam up and kill the bench Gardevoir before it even gets to attack, I think Connor would be in a commanding position.
Yeah, 4 total Guzma. We saw him play 1 last turn to get rid of that Kirlia, so decent chances that he could find another one if he doesn't already have it in its hand, and then have access to that Volcanic Heat. But it would need to be, Guzma plus
2
a
fires.
couple energies.
Yep. One other thing to note, if he did make a play like that, and let's say he got End, End to 2 would be pretty bad for Volcanion, but Turtonator has Nitro Tank GX, which just lets you set up all your energy again, which can be really, really important in situations like this.
When you're that far ahead on prizes, you can forego the turn of attacking to Nitro Tank and set up 2 big threats so that when your opponent gets that knockout, you have 2 more actually ready to go. And usually you are able to clinch it from there just because you have so much setup. It's very difficult for your opponent to overcome that.
Yep. So Kenny really wants to find this Rescue Stretcher. He doesn't see it in the top 5. I'm not sure what he can do this turn. Even if he Sycamores, he knows now that 5 out of the 7 are not Rescue Stretchers. So the odds are pretty low that
he's able to get back.
Yeah. But we might see it anyway. He has a Field Blower if he wants. Oh, nope, he's just doing Sensitive Blade. Oh, I guess he already played Sycamore that turn. So he must have. Otherwise, he would not have done 130. All right, let's see if Connor has it. Does not look like he has the Guzma in his hand.
He's got a couple of Choice Bands, Max Elixir.
In that case, you might just see a retreat into Baby Volcanion. Hit for 20. Set up the Volcanion EXs again. Yeah,
force Kenny to have a Guzma to actually knock out that Volcanion EX. Otherwise, the damage is kind of irrelevant. There's no spread for Kenny.
See the Max Elixir. Again, interesting. Connor's really got to pay attention to his energy this game. Last game, he burned through too many, so at the end, he couldn't steam up. So he's got to be aware of the amount of energy that he has left in order to steam up as the game goes on. This has turned out to be a much closer game than last game.
I did not anticipate, especially when Kenny started 4 routes. But 1 got taken out early. The Kirlia was then taken out, and then the Gallade, of course, was that 3rd route. So he is really just completely limited by the 2 routes that are in his discard.
Yeah, right, absolutely. And that's often can be the bane of Stage 2 decks, is that your big guys have to evolve from something, and you can only play 4 of them. So, and by committing 1 to a Gallade this game, Kenny deprived himself of an extra Gardevoir, which ideally is what you would be having in this matchup.
So do you ideally start the Alolan Vulpix in the active position and then have multiple routes on the bench?
Yeah.
Beacon on the first turn and then just let your Vulpix get knocked out?
That is absolutely the ideal start. So we do see the retreat. We will see a Power Heater for probably just 20 damage. I would imagine saving fires for steam up. The extra 30 is not super relevant against this Gallade. Connor would rather just knock out 2 GX Pokemon rather than go through a Gallade and another non-EX. All right, so now Kenny wants to find somehow a way to knock out that Turtonator on the bench. He needs a lot. He needs probably a Field Blower, DCE, Guzma, but
he's got a couple of Guzma in hand.
Okay, so Kenny's sorting his discard, putting the Pokemon at top, so maybe he found that rescue stretcher up. Yep, he did. He found the rescue stretcher up the end. He's probably debating if he wants to just do it 1 and get a Ralts back, or if he wants to shuffle 3 like he did last game.
Yeah, no Guzma in hand, 2 in the discard, and a pair of choice bands. Not super useful, but his Guardy's pretty low on energy right now, so could actually be necessary.
Yeah. Looks like we're going to... I think it looks like he's going to shuffle 3, put a Guardy, a Ralts, and maybe 2 Ralts, maybe a Curlia. Oh, no. Okay, just the 1. I don't mind this either. Guarantees that he's getting it down.
I don't know if he has a supporter in hand to be able to draw it.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Rescue Stretcher is one of my favorite cards in the format right now. It's extremely versatile. I often find myself using the choose 1, but the ability to shuffle 3 as well is just, it gives you... I love cards that give you options, right? And and that card is the epitome of options.
I mean, having multiple plays that you can make within a single card it's very valuable. Versatility is something that cannot be overhyped in card games.
Absolutely. Okay, so we do see Sycamore, which means that Glade will get a knockout on this Volcanion, forcing Connor into doing something else besides sitting behind Power Heater.
The Gardevoir is finally getting going.
And again, Connor wants that Guzma. He wants it really bad. He did end last turn. I didn't see exactly what he drew.
Getting? Yeah.
He probably doesn't have that many. Well, he doesn't have that many cards in his hand, but it could be the nuts.
He's playing 4. We've seen him play, I believe, 1.
Just 1, yeah. So another thing to note, the time is really starting to run down.
Yeah, there's not going to be a third game.
Yeah, so if Connor can pull this game out, we'll almost certainly see a tie. Kenny obviously is going to do everything in his power to not let Connor win, but it'll be an interesting finish. I'm glad that we're seeing a close game here.
I mean, as much as blowout games must be fantastic for the players who are winning the series. Interesting games as spectators and as casters. I like to see a meta where, yes, Gardevoir is favored, but Volcanion has a chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really, really like games that go back and forth, rounds that go back and forth, matches that are not completely one-sided.
I mean, and while we talked about Gardevoir is... known to be favored against Volcanion, it's probably not more than a 60-40, 65-35
Certainly
at the
still
very
best.
Winnable
for Volcanion.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Connor sends up Tapu Lele. Now, this tells me one of a couple of things. He could just be sending up to retreat, get the energy in the discard, potentially energy retrieval it back later, or he has Guzma in hand, and he'll send Tapu Lele up, and then Guzma and send something else up, potentially the Turtonator or the Volcanion EX.
The Turtonator...
We could actually also see, if he doesn't have the energy for Steam Up, but he does have the Guzma, he could opt to Turtonator, kill a Tapu Lele.
Yeah,
go down
the 2 prizes.
Right, go down to only 1 energy on him, and then the Gardevoir needs to commit a lot between the Fighting Fury Belt and only 1 energy on Turtonator. So he does have the Guzma.
So let's see. The Guzma comes down. He can... No, he's going to go for the Lele. If he brought up the Guardy and then brought in the Turtonator, that's 160 base, so 170 with the Fighting Fury Belt, but you would still need several Steam Ups. So without the energy to do it, just going to go ahead and get that knockout on the Lele, draw 2, and now... the Turtonator has essentially given himself 40 resistance against Gardevoir next turn by taking those 2 energy off, which are, I guess, not easily accessible by Connor right now, but he does play 2 copies of energy retrieval in his deck. It will be much more difficult for Guardy to get this knockout. So 4 energy total. That's going to be 120, 150 with the choice band, and Turtonator has 190. So a DCE would do it. But that is...
Yeah, Kenny's doing the math right now.
We've seen quite a few already, I believe.
Kenny's doing math right now, 30 times. A joke between me and all my friends and I that all played Gardevoir is that 30 times is a lot. It adds up really, really, really quickly. Oh, we do see the field
Oh,
so
there you
that'll
go.
make his
Okay.
math so much easier. So he needs 7 energy between them, or 6 because he has Choice Band. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 already. So
he's got the attach. He has Secret Spring, of course, as
Yep.
well.
So that'll do it. Ideally, he would develop another Curlia or a Raccoon Gardevoir as well behind this. But even if he doesn't, I don't think Connor has a way to one-shot the Guardy. And N would be really devastating against Connor as well.
Yeah.
Bringing him just to 2 cards. And then Connor would need to draw very well off that end.
Kenny checking out Connor's discard, looking for...
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, probably checking out how many energy does he have left. What's the real threat potential that one of these Volcanion could reach, specifically the Volcanion with the 2 energy on it.
Yep. Another thing to note is that this Turtonator going down means that Nitro Tank GX is out the window. So that could be, on Connor's side, he might have really liked that, to set up enough threats where Kenny still has 3 prizes. He needs to take at least 2 knockouts, and he has Connor would just have a lot of threats on the board, but that option is gone as well.
He would have had 2 Pokemon then to try to get the knockout on the Guardy.
Right. All right, let's see. Connor drew... Ooh, he looked like he drew Tapu Lele and a Fire Energy. That is very good.
Okay, yeah. There's no Parallel City in play this game. That did really trip up Connor in the last one. Actually ended up with him playing a 4th. Things got a little jumbled. He ended up scooping that Skinny would have won that game anyway, but with the Brooklet Hill in the active, he does have the liberty to play.
Tapu Lele.
Yep.
All right, looks like Kenny doesn't really have that much else going on. He is going to Premonition, of course, to control what he draws next turn.
What does he have? There's a Lele. Looks like a Float Stone. Kind of hard to tell. A couple Ultra Balls.
Yeah, nothing too great, but...
He's only got 4 on bench, so he could take the Lele and look for a supporter if he doesn't have it. 2 DCE in hand for Kenny. Where is all of this energy coming from, Mike?
I don't know.
We saw Sydney on stream yesterday against Igor, and she could not find one to literally save her tournament life. It was so horrible.
Those DCE in hands, though, mean that if this Gardevoir doesn't get knocked out, or if Connor doesn't have the win next turn, that Gardevoir is literally knocking out anything. Does not matter how many energy are attached to it. He could send out a Volcanion with nothing, and it's getting one
Dunzo.
shot. All right, so Connor's got a tough decision to make, assuming that his hand is Fire Lele plus another card. He could Lele...
How does he get himself out of this? How does he possibly...
He needs triple Steam Up.
Yeah, so Lele for Sycamore hit 3 energy. Does he have 3 energy left? He could hit Energy Retrieval. That would give him 2 from the discard. No, okay, yeah, that's one way to do it.
I like this, actually. So I actually just remembered the Float Stone on the Volcanion actually puts Connor totally out of range. He would actually need to hit Field Blower and a Choice Band to Field Blower his own Float Stone, Choice Band, Energy, and triple Steam Up, which is a lot to ask.
Yeah.
So Connor's going to Lele, I believe. Or no, he's Brooklet Hilling first.
Yeah, he's attaching to the Lele.
And he just used
to thin his deck.
Yep, he just used Brooklet Hill, I think just to probably take a look at what he has in his deck left. But now he will play Tapu Lele. Maybe grab... Looks like he has Guzma's.
3 or 4 energy left in deck.
Yeah.
It looks like he grabbed the N.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Maybe he doesn't have any more Sycamores left.
Yeah, it's he would have to.
Yeah.
He's ending himself to 2, ending Kenny to 3. What does he need on this 2? Energy Recycler... Double Energy Recycler?
Yeah. I mean, Kenny does have 3 prizes left, so Connor can bring up this Lele, smack it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 140 damage, which then, as long as Connor draws another energy, that Volcanion EX could clean up the Gardevoir GX the following turn. So it forces Kenny into an awkward position because he didn't set up another Gardevoir. He doesn't have artillery to potentially draw off this. But there is only less than 3 minutes left, so 100% this will either end in a win for Kenny or a tie between the 2 players. And here we go. Tapu Lele Energy Drive. We talked about it being a good attacker before, and here it is. Yep, 140.
Okay, so Kenny will get the knockout on the Lele. It goes to 1 prize, and here we're talking about there's those awkward prize numbers, right? When you're killing the baby Volcanion, you're left with 3 instead of 2, and now this will give Connor, the opportunity to bring up that Volcanion, Volcanic Heat for the knockout if he has the energy, and then Kenny would need to get the knockout on the Volcanion or have a Guzma potentially to bring up the Gallade and the damaged Volcanion, get that kill that way. So the way I'm seeing it is Connor needs to have an energy first. If that happens, Guardy's knocked out.
Well, and then Connor wins. If the Guardy's knocked out, Connor wins.
You're right, because he's only got 2 left. Yeah, okay. So things get a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, so Kenny's going to Ultra Ball, maybe finding Tapu Lele if there's still a Tapu Lele in the deck.
Can you bring up Gallade and get the knockout on the Lele?
No, but he can get Guzma and knock out the Volcanion EX with Gallade. That's probably his line right here, because then, here we go. And it forces Connor to have Guzma and energy now, which is...
put him on 2 instead of put him on 1.
Yeah.
Especially since he just ended himself. He's only got 2 in hand.
Yep.
Very few energy left in the deck.
Yep, here we go. We'll see Gallade come out. And this is where we see Gallade being really great as a one-prize attacker. Even though Connor killed 2 Nani-Xs earlier in the game, this would be his 3rd Nani-X,
One prize with 130 after you play a supporter that turn. Only costs a DCE to be able to attack. You can rare candy right to it. Whew, fits right in.
I know.
Really fantastic.
Kenny gets to control his top deck via Premonition. Attaches a DCE. That is one of the biggest Gardevoirs I have seen in a long time. Does Connor have it? That is the question.
Is it going to be a win for Kenny, or will it be a tie?
Yeah,
there's the Guzma.
There it is. Oh, man. So the Tapu Lele, so not knocking out the Tapu Lele forces Connor actually not to need the energy, because Tapu Lele can just knock it out. So Connor, I think, had 2 or 3 Guzma left in the deck.
Yeah, he plays 4 total.
And his deck wasn't that big, maybe 15 cards. So the odds of him drawing out are not super low. They're not super high, but I would say it was probably around like a
reasonable.
Yeah, definitely reasonable. As Kenny played to his outs, but I think he made all the correct plays. Connor just had it.
It was just unfortunate Kenny didn't have, again, the multiple Guardy setup. In pretty much everyone that we've seen, it has been a single Gardevoir attacking, and then once it gets knocked out, which admittedly it takes a while to knock it out, you are left with not much to work with. That Gallade, very strong, but not enough to get the job done. And Connor battling back from what is a disadvantageous position, a bad matchup for him on paper, but making it now potentially this could be a draw. Will they still play out the 3 turns in Game 3 on time? Just in case. Well, I guess if Connor opens Baby Volcanion, Kenny opens only routes, doesn't find another basic, the Baby Volcanion could get the knockout and Connor could win. Yeah,
I actually am not sure of the ruling here. Since they have not started Game 3, they might actually not even play the 3 turns. That might
just be the draw.
Yeah, that might be the ruling. I was talking to one of my friends earlier, and that's what he was telling me, that if Game 3, like if time is called, then Game 3 should not even start. You don't even get the +3.
Yeah.
But I think that's what the judge is checking right now to see if that is
if they get the 3
case.
Turns in which Connor could potentially, I think Ray was using the word donk.
Donk, yes.
Donk Kenny and take the match, which would be excellent for Connor. But I mean, we saw Igor do it yesterday.
Right.
It's tough.
Yeah,
your opponent needs to draw really badly, but you can do it.
Yeah, so Kenny obviously would prefer not to play the 3 turns. He has no way of winning in 3 turns.
Yeah, it's just strictly bad for him to do that.
But Connor would welcome the opportunity. I mean, probably won't win, but who knows?
I mean, Connor could start Baby Volcanion, have no other basics. Kenny could start routes. Connor passes. Kenny candies the Gardevoir. He attaches a DCE the first turn, attaches DCE again the second turn, and then he would still only have 120, and that has 130, so we wouldn't win. Okay, so there's no way. It's not going to happen.
It looks like they
are calling for the 3
it.
turns, starting turn 0 on who then?
So I guess Kenny gets to choose who goes first, since he lost the game. So I guess he would be turn 0, Connor would be turn 1, Kenny would be turn 2, Connor would be turn 3. I actually don't know if this is the correct ruling, but I guess the judge did check.
We have to abide by it.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense for the reason that they did not start Game 3, so you would think that it should just be a draw, but they will be playing out their 3 turns.
All right, so pretty much if Kenny gets 2 basics, he probably is safe. Oh, there we go. We see a route.
All right.
I think that'll probably be it then, but they'll play it out just to see.
Can he? Is there any way he can win? If Connor
Connor could have...
Gets nothing and has no other basics. Now he's got a Sycamore in hand. He'll find something.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Connor could take a knockout on Mr. Mime if he hits, like, Floatstone, Baby Volcanion, Volcanion EX, Volcanion EX, a bunch of fire energies, kills the Mr. Mime.
If he has a 14-card hand, he's probably good.
Kills the Mr. Mime, and then Kenny has
if
to draw dead off this end.
Palm 7, and nobody notices. He could get this one.
Oh, man. So this will end up almost certainly in a tie. Both players will have to win their last round. Oh, now we see 3 Pokemon. So that's 100%. Game is
just not going to happen.
Finish.
So this is a big pickup for Connor, turning this one into a tie, even though on paper Kenny was pretty favored here. And yeah, it'll now be 8-1-4 and 9-3-1.
Yep.
Do you know exactly how many points you would need to finish top 8?
So they'll both be at 28 points. Pretty sure that 31 points will be safe for top 8. So that's perfect math for each of these players if they win their last round. Yep.
It's a lot of pressure, but still very doable by both of these players.
Yep. I'm sure Connor's hoping that last round. Yeah, he's happy with the tie because last round there's a good amount of grass decks in top cut. So
there's a lot of Glycopod.
Yeah, if he can get paired against a grass deck, he will be very happy. And I think a couple players already locked for top 8, and they are both playing Volcanion as well.
Okay. Do you know off the top of your head, looking at Igor?
Igor and Ryan Sablehouse I think are both locked for top 8.
Well, there's your 2 massive names that both brought the same exact Volcanion deck, and it worked out so well.
Yep. So, there we go. That will be the tie.
Yep, that's going to be the draw. Played out the 3 turns. Nothing important happened in those 3 turns. So that's going to be a draw for both of these players. Now, depending on the final round of Swiss to net, that win and into the top 8 cut. That was definitely one that either of them would have wanted to win, specifically Kenny, because he was favored. But, you take what you can get, right?
Yeah.
They've still got one more round. They've got one more chance to get their win to make it into the top 8 cut.
Yep, yeah. Kenny can't be too happy with how that ended up. It always feels bad to lose a favorable matchup, but it's Pokemon.
It happens. Happens a lot.
Yeah.
Which, coming from other card games, it's weird, but it really is such an integral part of the game. But here we can see total deck points by player, by players in the top 32 cut on the various deck archetypes. So clearly Gardevoir will be the number 1 slot, as 25% of the players in the top 32 are playing Guardy.
Right.
And then we've got Glycopod followed by Drampagarb. And Volcanion has moved up from actually last round where it was closer down, hovering near Greninja, but it is almost tied with Drampagarb, even though there is more Drampagarb in the top than there is actually Volcanion EX.
Yeah, I think this is pretty indicative of what most players expected the metagame to shape up like. Gardevoir being the most popular deck, being the most successful deck, Glycopod coming in number 2, and then Drampagarb and Fire kind of rounding out the top
3 and 4.
3 and 4. Yep.
Then we've still got the lone Sigaleo deck, a couple of Decitails, 1 Xerneas Break, a couple of Bulu, I think 2 Greninja as well, and then, only 1 pure Ho-Oh Salazzle Fire build. So some decent diversity in the top 32 cut, a couple of decks that we weren't expecting to see, namely Xerneas and Sigaleo, but I really like to see the diversity. We've gotten to see a couple of really interesting matchups on stream, even though, absolutely right, most people going into this expected Gardevoir, Glycopod, Drampagarb, and Fire of some sort to do the best going into top 8 cut.